awesome guest on. I cannot wait to share and that you can hear his incredible story. Everyone knows that veterans are near and dear to my heart, and I have a special person on this today. And Justin Myers is the CEO of Signs by Veterans. So stay tuned. Make sure that you share this out and hold tight. We'll be right back in just a minute. Stay tuned. Welcome, Justin.
Hey, Patricia. Hey, I love that intro, man. That's got me fired up.
Awesome. I'm so excited to have you here, Justin. I appreciate your time. Wow, veterans and fighting for our freedoms that we're able to be here today, right? Is because of people like yourself. And I would just share what's on your heart. You have an incredible story, and I want to honor the veterans. I want to honor our heroes, my heroes. So thank you for coming on today. I'm just really excited for people to hear your story. So without further ado, tell us who you are, what you do, and go for it.
And first, thank you for having me on. Thank you for reaching out and thinking of me and my company, Signs by Veterans. So a little bit about me. I'm originally from Savannah, Georgia, born and raised for the most part, traveled around a little bit throughout Georgia and Charleston, South Carolina growing up. And I ended up in the Navy. When I was 19, I had enlisted and served 6.5 years before I was medically retired, and transitioned out. I was in a wheelchair when I transitioned out, and then from there I went into sales and trained and developed every day. And when I got done with that venture, I had been recruited out of it, and I ended up in the sign industry as a sales director for a very large sign company, and then we grew that to top of the industry with every major Fortune 500 you could think of, and 200,000 businesses in 13 countries. I mean, it was absolutely insane times. Working 120 hours a week. 2-3 shifts on production. It was wild times, but it built me and allowed me to create a platform for veterans to transition and to succeed in life, and give them a skill set that provides freedom in their lives for them and their family.
Yeah, that's incredible. When we kind of jump to the signs by veterans. Can you tell us what are some of them? Because I know like when people drive by, they're traveling or whatever. A lot of people don't realize that you are behind those platforms. So can you some of the companies that you do business with? Because I also want to make sure that anyone that is looking for a good reputable company and also support veterans, that they know to reach out to you.
Yeah. So, man, where do I start? In my career, I've worked with Exxon, Google, Facebook, Gary V, VaynerMedia, worked with Grant Cardone. I've worked with Coca-Cola, FedEx, UPS, Johnson & Johnson, McCormick Spices, Bayer. I mean, Harvard, Cornell, Stanford, you name it. I mean, I've worked with just about everybody. We've done over 100 military installations across the world. Most government entities, all major government entities, and most sub entities, we've done signage for.
That's incredible. That is awesome. That is really great.
It's been a wild ride.
So when you are, I'm assuming that everyone, or predominantly everyone that works for you are veterans. How did you start recruiting veterans, and how did you get the word out once you figured out that this is what you want to do, and just the success behind it? Because it sounds like it happened very quickly.
Yeah, so I started with just me. It was literally just me, and then I had hired a homeless veteran. Man, that takes me back to the start, man. That was Raleigh was a big part of me moving forward and growing and developing in my life. I picked him up at a Sunoco gas station. He had asked me for food instead of asking for money, and then he asked for work when I agreed to give him some food and help him out. And so I told him to meet me at my office at 8 a.m. and 7:30, the barber next door calls and says, "Hey man, I got this sketchy looking dude over here. It says he's coming to work for you." I was like, "Yeah, man, we're gonna help this dude." So that's when Raleigh came, and we worked for quite a while together, a couple months, and I eventually got him into a rehab program up in North Carolina. We'd bust him up, and about a year later, he had called me, still sober, had made big progress in life, and got a new career. And it was one of the highlights of me growing my business, and helping veterans along the way, because it's not always easy. So a large part of how I reached out to grow was my network. I was in the military for a long time. I've got a huge military network. So I reached out to those guys. A lot of people that I served with help out. My marketing director was actually introduced to me by the business development director of Colton Mortgage up here in Tennessee, Trevor Hartz. He's a Marine, and he actually referred Bradley over to me, and met him watching a UFC fight one night, and sat down, talked with him, and had a lot of great discussions and a lot of great potential and opportunities. So I was like, well, let's do it. And the first deal that this guy brings me is the Major League Rugby finals desk. So we're shooting for the moon right off the rip. I mean, he's talked to almost every NFL team. We've got some stuff working. We're working stuff with the Dodgers. So it's been incredible adding to the team. And I've got civilians that are patriots and supporters. We're not, obviously we're not 100% veteran staffed. I do believe in providing opportunities to patriots that want to develop and take their life to the next level and work with some of the world's leading brands and provide signage solutions to their community.
Yeah, I think that is absolutely amazing. What I find so fascinating by anyone who serves in the military is just the passion and heart for people. And I've been following you for a while now, and I've seen the progression of how the different places you go and the different things that you're involved in, and to make a difference in that one person's life. And now he's on a trajectory that he may not have that opportunity, right? So I think that's very positive. I love hearing stories. This is the whole purpose of this show too, is that people hear stories and see people like you and see heroes like yourself, because they can do the same thing, right? It's putting forth that effort and being willing to do that. So let's go to your military career, because I prefaced that the former pirate hunter, and the story is really fascinating. So can you share with us?
Yeah, so we'll kind of preface the Navy aspect with, I grew up in a predominantly military background household. Jackson Stonewall Myers dates back to the Continental Marine Corps and the establishment of the United States of America. It's in the Marine Corps history book. So there's a lot of tradition in our family in the military. With that said, early on, I grew up competing in combative sports. I was a boxer at Gerald's Gym in Savannah, Georgia, and I fought Taekwondo out of Savannah Taekwondo Academy, and I went to the Junior Olympics and as a kid, and I got third. Really pissed me off that I got a bronze, but at the end of the day, I was fighting the world's best competition, on the highest stage, and I've always had that warrior mentality and that mindset of getting after it and standing up to defend others, because that's really what it's about. It's not Taekwondo is a self-defense art. It's not a let's go just fight people to fight people. So a large part of my upbringing was standing up and taking care of people that couldn't take care of themselves, and I transferred that into the Navy. So I went to the Navy as a gunner's mate, went through gun school up in Chicago, and I was in Great Lakes for, it was January 31st of 07 to August 14th of 07. I was up in Great Lakes training and reported to my ship August 15th, U.S.S. Ashland. And when I first got to the Ashland, there were 13 gunners. They were all senior, big dudes, stout guys, tough motherfuckers. Pardon my language, but they're some tough boys, man. And here I am, young 19-year-old, scrapper, and I get into the armory first day and open up the door to let me in, and man, I got my ass whooped. I got tore up real good, man. They welcomed me with some great opening arms, and reminded me that the gunners are the defense of the ship, and no matter what, we have to prevail. Despite the odds, despite the circumstances, we have to fight until you can't possibly fight because you're fucking dead. So it was a good first lesson. No matter how outnumbered you are, you got to fight. Doesn't matter. You got to fight. Your life, your family, your country, everything depends on you fighting to achieve the most that you can for your life. So with that said, I ended up being on that ship for 3.5 years. In 2009, I was selected as Junior Sailor of the Year, which if you know anything about the military and especially the Navy, gunner's mates aren't ones that really get Sailor of the Year honors. we're a rough bunch. So it was a big honor to be Sailor of the Year. Admiral Howard, who happened to be the first 4-star admiral in the United States Navy, she pinned my first Navy Achievement Medal on me. And in 2008 we had deployed, and we did a lot of training operations with different countries on anti-piracy and maritime interdiction operations. And so we spent 2008 doing that. We port hopped a lot in 2008. Unbelievable time, great experience seeing the world and training and working with different militaries throughout the world. And then I came back from that, and in 2010 we were getting ready to deploy towards the end of January, and Haiti hit. So we ended up deploying a little early and heading over to Haiti. So we were bouncing. We offloaded a bunch of medical and sailors and Marines onto Haiti. We were first boots on ground for that, and we went over to Cuba. Got a bunch of stuff from Gitmo to bring it over back to Haiti to help out with the relief. And then from there, we were only there for about 3 weeks, and from there is when we the transit across the Atlantic, and then through the Suez, and ultimately into the eastern coast of Africa. and out into the Indian Ocean and the Gulf of Aden, and operated up there and patrolled up and down the coast of Africa and in the merchant travel lanes, looking and searching for pirates for the remainder of deployment. And the incident that most people know me from happened on that 2010 deployment. April 10th, 2010, at about 4:58 in the morning, we began taking fire off the port side of the ship. A small pirate vessel had come up from the aft of the ship. And if you look at an LSD, we have smokestack on the port side midship. So you've got this huge smokestack for the engines, and my 25 millimeter, when you rotate it all the way back aft to catch that back end, you can't see back there because of the smokestack's heat signature just throws the FLIR completely off. And then at pitch black at night, when you're on a regular camera mode, you can't see, a 20 foot aluminum vessel that's 5 miles out. Like, you're not going to see it. So that was their way in up on us, and we handled that situation very, very well overall as a ship, as a crew. Very proud of the sailors and Marines. There were 700 sailors and Marines on board that morning of the attack. Our previous CEO had literally just left the day prior. It was his last day. We did a change of command, and Commander Curtis's very first day as commanding officer on U.S.S. Ashland, he was woken up at 5 o'clock in the morning to us getting shot at. Wow. And having to respond to us taking fire, so when everything went down, we went and checked the situation. A lot of communication going on the bridge, the officer decks, calling officers. The boatswain of the watch is trying to run his whole watch and get everything going. Plus, we're making up the captain. He's trying to make decisions in seconds. And he just woke up, so he came in, super alert, right away. I mean, there was no hesitation, and he came over to my monitor because I was shooting on a Mark 38 Mod 2 25 millimeter chain and so I've got a really badass monitor that lets me basically I can basically see your head at 10 miles away.
Wow.
So it's a pretty phenomenal system. So obviously, with these guys being pretty close, it was extremely easy to see and put everything out. What's difficult at that distance is you can't lock on because it's so close and the way the camera systems and stuff work. So you have to freehand the execution of that situation. And they're moving alongside 15 knots. We've got a moving target coming up, firing at us. I've got guys on the smoke deck that are taking rounds that night, and I asked for permission to fire when the captain finally got there and saw everything going, and without hesitation he gave me permission to engage. I took 2 shots. That's all I needed. 2 shots to get 2 confirmed kills, and blew up the skiff, and the remaining survivors had jumped off of the boat. So at that point I had ceased fire, notified that we were seeing some fire, the threat was neutralized, and recommended that we send the boarding team out for rescue and recovery. So at that time, I just woke up 700 sailors and Marines because 25 millimeter is extraordinarily loud. It is like raining thunder of hell upon souls, and it makes me so happy. It worked like a dream. I put a lot of hours and a lot of training for years, not like some of you guys going into a new corporate job that gets 10 hours of some video training. I trained every single day for 3 years before I pulled the trigger in combat. Right? You don't just take two shots, without exceptional training and execution over a sustained period of time. It takes a lot of dedication and commitment and really pushing yourself to be the best, because at the end of the day, I'm always constantly reminded, that as the gunner, you are the one that has to maintain your calm and your composure, because you have to execute to defend the ship, because everybody else depends on you to execute. And I took that very seriously, very early on in my career, which is why I, advanced the way I advanced and accomplished the things I accomplished in my naval career before I got medically retired. So it was an unbelievable year. After that, the media did its thing. It was wild times,
Yeah. That's such a powerful story. My question is though, because here's the thing, I think my whole objective too is getting people to understand, like that's just one incident that you were exposed to, right? And do people really understand what it means to be free? Do they really understand? When you talked about the training, it wasn't two shots, it was years of training to get expert precision to remain calm. So my question is how do you, or what did you do and what trained you to remain calm? Because I mean, everything's going on that you think about being under fire. I can't imagine that. So what do you do when you know that, like you said, everyone is depending on you?
I think you don't really know how you're going to react until it happens. You can mentally prepare and you can role play in your head, and you can go through scenarios, and you can think of every bad situation that could possibly happen and try to prevent everything. And you're constantly going through these evolutions of cycles, day after day, year after year, and developing. So it's not, I don't think it's something that one happens overnight. I think it's a long-term ongoing process of constant self-talk and self-evaluation to prepare, to react. And then, I think the other aspect to that is the people around you. The people around you either going to make you level up and do more and be better and drive further, or they're going to hold you back and pull you away and take you away from those things. So I think it's important to surround yourself with like-minded people that are very mentally inept with going after it and executing, because when you get into combat, you really truly have no idea the first time what's going to happen, how it's going to play out, how you're going to react, what your adrenaline is going to be like. Are you going to be losing your breath? Are you not going to be able to speak? Are you not going to be able to formulate commands? Are you going to freeze? Are you going to run? There's so many different responses that are all human. Like, it's just a human response. But I thoroughly believe that if you properly train and mentally prepare, that when those times come, your training will take over, because that's what happened to me. I can't speak on everybody's experiences. I can only speak on to what I experienced. And what I experienced was, when shit hit the fan and the chaos ensued, I was the calmest person. It's actually in my Navy Achievement Medal from the award citation from Admiral Gordon about my composure in the situation, because I had years of training and preparation. I think had you thrown me into that situation as a junior E2 with 3 months on board, I wouldn't have executed, performed, or handled it in the situation that I handled it. I think being a senior gunner and the leading gunner on the ship and the years of experience contributed to the success of the execution of that mission, and being there for my guys and my crew, my brothers and sisters that sacrificed a lot with me over the years. And I couldn't be more proud to have been a part of that crew, and see everybody's responses. The medical team, my boarding team, unbelievable, great group of guys, 20 of the best guys that I could possibly imagine being around, and all different backgrounds and skill set types. Because as a boarding team member, it's not your primary job. You still have other duties and responsibilities. So I got to be around really, really high level guys that were great warriors, great mentalities, very tough, strong, resilient individuals, and that helps keep that mindset going, and being in that environment on a consistent daily basis with those guys is what pushes you to get to the top and perform at your best.
Wow. This isn't the movie. This is real life. Someone that has been there, done that, and has mastered it. What was your adrenaline like afterwards? Got an award for being humble. What was that like after it took a while to settle down? Did it finally resonate with what happened when you did, the impact of all that?
After the initial shots, and then. So once that had happened and I neutralized, I turned over the gun mount to one of my gunners, and I hauled ass down to the armory, because I actually had the armory keys on me, which is against so many naval instructions. It's not even funny. But it was what it was, and I hauled ass down the armory, loaded out the team. And when I got back up to the boat deck, my division officer and my chief weren't going to let me go out with the team. I was like, y'all aren't stopping me. Like, I'm getting on the boat. I'm going to finish what we started. Like, right. I'm good. And they're like, you understand, you just took human life. You need to process things. We know you're all jacked up. I was like, look, I'm good. Like, I'm ready to go be with my brothers and go get these guys and do what we can to finish this mission. Like, and I told him, you're not stopping me. And Lieutenant Noriega was right there, my boarding officer, and he was like, I think you're good. If you're good, you're good. Let's roll. And then we got on the boats, and we went and got these guys and pulled them out of the water, and saved the 6 survivors. And we brought them back to the ship, and had a ton of medical that the medical team had to perform. One of the guys lost a leg. We call him Stumpy. He lost a leg. Katie Lutterby, one of the corpsmen down there with all the double docks and the pirates, she helped saved his life so that we could prosecute him. So. I don't think it really hit the magnitude of what had happened until probably like 3 days later. There was so much that I was involved with reports and getting down, working with the Master at Arms chief on all of our statements. You have to document everything. When you pull the trigger in the United States military, it's gonna get accounted for, and you're gonna answer a lot of questions, and it takes a long time.
Wow.
But you go through extensive interviews. There's psych evals. There's all sorts of stuff that goes on after you get in those situations, but it never really, like, for me, I never, like, my heart rate was elevated. Like, I could feel my heart rate elevated. But I never got to the point where, like, I was out of it or wasn't able to process things, or it was too much. Like, to me, I was just doing my job like I loved doing. I would still be doing it today if I wasn't medically retired and on 100% disability. Like, I loved going out to sea and being on a small boat and going out and going boat to boat, checking every single vessel unturned. Like, we didn't leave anybody unturned. We went to every single little boat out there. Sometimes we were doing 30, 40 approach visits a day, because you don't know.
Wow.
You don't know. I mean, you're out there to help humanitarian wise for the fishermen, but you're also out there because we're trying to stop the pirates before they go pirate.
Right.
You know?
Right.
One thing that I would say probably accredited to my mindset shift for preparation the most would be on my 2008 deployment. We were off the coast of Africa, and it was a night watch, and we had gotten a mayday call and about a French yacht that was being attacked. Now, mind you, several hours earlier, we were in an intelligence brief about the known pirates in the area operating, and we had instructions to follow. We had orders, to handle things should they arise. Mm-hmm. And we got to where these guys basically were right there on us. They're probably about 2,000 yards out, and they were getting in closer. They were doing the SOS signals, all the typical patterns, trying to make fake calls on a jacked up little CB radio to get to the ship channels, doing all the typical, scenarios that they run. I mean, they're such creatures of habit and the way they get their targets. So we had this instruction. Well, anyways, the opportunity came. I was a gunner on watch, and the CEO at the time, absolutely loved the guy, got mad respect for him. He's an unbelievable man and was a great leader, but he didn't make the call to execute that night. And a couple hours later is when we got that mayday call, and there was a lot of French civilians that were murdered and executed that night. And that was a lot of lives lost, and that was on our hands. And I took that very fucking personally, because we had every opportunity to execute based on the intelligence we were given and the actions that were being portrayed in front of us, and we didn't act. And that was a very pivotal moment of the mentality shift, because I swore I would never allow that to happen again. Mm-hmm. I would never pass up an opportunity to take out evil and prevent senseless killings, because that's what these guys do. They go and they ransom these boats, and if you don't pay, they just kill everybody. It's really simple. That's how they operate. They don't go out there with the intention to kill everybody, but when they don't get their way, and they're very erratical, and they just don't think logically, and they're like wild guns just all over, and it's not predictable, how they're going to handle hostage situations, and they'll just execute them. And unfortunately, it's happened to me in my career, but it was one of the best things that happened to me, because it changed my whole outlook on life.
Right.
We're over here in America, and these are some civilians just out cruising, having a good time, and next thing you know, their life is over.
Right.
Their families left behind, their legacies left behind, over senseless, greedy cowards that prey on the weak and innocent and unarmed. They go after civilians because they know they're not armed. If they were legit warriors, they'd go after the military and say, let's go do something, but they're not.
Right.
They prey on innocent, weak people, and I have a problem with that, and I've always had a problem with that.
Right. That is the reality. This is a real story. You are a real hero, and I really appreciate you sharing that reality. I think a lot of times in America, individuals we get so callous and stagnant. We have that old stagnation of believing one thing doesn't happen. But hearing your story and sharing that's the reality of what you go out and do, and you're fearless. And, we are here because of people like Houston, and I'm really so grateful. While you were talking, I had something that came across my mind to ask you is, did you find that when you guys were searching for pirates and what have you, were they younger people, older people? Was it a mix? Does it have a faith or any type of criteria?
I think it was a mixed age. Yeah, I don't remember their ages. I know you can go through the court docs. It's all in there. But I mean, they weren't old by any means. Fortunately, this situation, they weren't kids either, which is very common in Africa. One thing that I admire most about Africa and its culture is the deep rooted warriorhood that it has. It is a very, I mean, these guys are real fighters. They're legit competitors, legit warriors, and it's been in their generations for thousands of years, and they're the most poverty stricken continent with some of the most vicious fighters.
Wow.
So I've always had a lot of respect. They're a little wild. There's a lot of chaos and crazy, tribals. I'm not saying they're good people all the time, don't get me wrong, but warrior to warrior, you got to respect capability and mentality. And these kids, they get guns at 6-7 years old and are trained how to shoot and fight. It's not like when we went to Iraq where nobody knew how to fire at you. It's a completely different firefight getting in one in Africa versus one when you're in Iraq, and I never served in Afghanistan, so I have no idea what that 20-year war was like. I've got a lot of friends that have served, a lot of buddies that lost a lot of friends over there. So I got mad respect for those guys and what they've been through and the stories that I've heard from them. And, what they did to liberate, that country, wasn't in vain. The 20 years that those guys put into freeing and showing that country what freedom is truly about and safety while we could, definitely was not a waste. And I think it showed the rest of the world that we will, do everything we can, but at some point you have to set up a self-sustaining government. It's not our job to run your country. It's our job to help you grow and develop your country and live free principles and not under communistic rule. But it is not our job to maintain your government. So I know that a lot of guys got upset about the way this all ended, but at the end of the day, we set it up. You did your job. Whether they kept it isn't on us. I think we could have handled things differently on the exit for sure. I think there's a lot of generals and admirals that would agree with our strategy and the execution of our withdrawal. But outside of that, I think there's a lot of brave men and women that went into to the mountains and in the desert out there and really did their best to provide a different culture and lifestyle for great people, because there's a lot of great people over there. A lot of great people. I've met so many amazing people in the Middle East and in Africa and the Mediterranean. I mean, I've been to 23 countries and I've met people all over the world, and you've got to get out of American mindset and understand the privileges and luxuries that we have here every day that other people just don't have. I mean, imagine waking up and walking 5 miles with a 1 gallon little bucket of water to get water, every day.
Right.
And kids aren't going to school. They're working, 5, 6, 7 years old. They're working. They're not learning. They're not developing. They're just working, so, as leaders of the free world, it's our responsibility to be the example and show the appreciation and gratitude for the luxuries and the freedoms and liberties that we have in this country, and share and help and develop those around us that don't have that.
Yeah, that's incredible. I just have mad respect for you, Justin, and what you do and what you've done and what you're still doing. I have a question for you. How were you dubbed the pirate hunter? Who gave you that title? Was it media? What happened there?
Nah, it was a group of Marines. Yeah, a bunch of staff sergeants from the Marine detachment we were with. Some tanker guys, a bunch of trackers. They came up to me on the smoke pit, but back then, I quit smoking, but back then I was a pretty heavy smoker. So yeah, I was on the smoke pit, not long after that had happened. And, they come over there all like, oh shit, it's the pirate hunter. Watch out. It was a good joke, and it kind of just stuck. Like everybody at that point, just like, everybody around it that heard it, like just stuck. And then, it just exploded from there. And then, obviously once civilians hear it, it's like, it's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah. It is, but you think about it too. When you think in the civilian mindset, I have a lot of friends that are in the military. And one that comes to mind particularly, like you always tell me, you civilians have no clue. You just are clueless, and I'm like, I understand, and so here you say that it is true. And then you watch movies like what's that one, Tom Hanks, where it was a I don't know. It was a pirate thing. Like, now. Remember that movie?
Yeah, it's Captain Phillips.
Captain Phillips. Yeah. Totally different. This is real life. This is pirate hunting.
Yeah, my good friend Rob O'Neill, which many of you may know, he was actually on that mission that took out those pirates in that situation.
Wow.
Yeah, Rob is part of most high profile missions that 99% of the world never heard about, except for when he shot Osama bin Laden in the face. And obviously that's the biggest bag in the world that you could possibly capture. And Rob's one of my mentors, one of my heroes and leaders, and I got mad respect for him and his boys and what they've done.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Justin, this is an incredible story. I really appreciate it, and I want to just pivot now after this whole massive, beautiful career that you had with your business. I want you to let everyone know what we did again, and we'll post the link as well, because I have a lot of that would love to want to support veteran businesses, and I'm happy to share that as well.
Absolutely, thank you. Yeah, so I founded Sign by Veterans. So we are a full custom sign shop. We do everything from vehicle decals to vehicle wraps. We do constructional signage, storefront signage, the channel letters that you see in the retail malls, the pylon signs that you see in front of big retail properties, road signs for Department of Transportation. We do a lot of military signage across the world. Some various stuff with that. We do a lot of ADA stuff. We do stuff for Home Depot. We do different things for Hilton. So it depends on the country. I mean, we do custom dry erase posters, dry erase boards, magnetic receptive signage.
Wow.
So we can actually create a magnetic receptive dry erase sign. So where you can, put the magnets on there and still have the dry erase capability. A lot of acrylic signage, neon signs. We do those. We do national service and work, with major companies. And we work with a lot of small businesses. If you are a veteran-owned business, you do get a special pricing discount. So any veteran out there that is a business owner, or if you're on the team of a business that is veteran-owned, definitely have your leadership reach out, provide Their documentation certifies them as a veteran-owned business, and we will honor special pricing to help grow their business as well with reduced cost on signage margins.
That's awesome. You heard it right from Pirate Hunter. I like that a lot. Justin, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate what you've done for our country. I appreciate what you're still doing now for our country in the civilian world, and spreading lots of good commercialism with providing jobs and support. So I would highly recommend that you guys check out Signs by Veterans. Justin Myers is a wonderful leader, and has an incredible business and an incredible story, and not ever forget why we have the focus to come on platforms like this, listen to the story, share it out, resonate with you, and really just how serious this is to have heroes like Justin. So Justin, thank you so much. I appreciate your time. If you just hold on a second, I'll close this out, and then we'll call it a day.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So everyone, Justin is just one of our heroes, but it's our hero today that we are honoring. I am so happy to share that out. Make sure that you keep in your mind that the reason you have the liberties and the freedoms to listen to this story, because we don't want to take any of that for granted. We don't want to take the work that they do for granted. So we're so happy that you were able to join us. We'll post Signs by Veterans link in there. Make sure that you share that out and help support local businesses. So with that said, we will see you later. Have a great day, and we'll talk to you soon.